Next on Good Morning El Paso, it was unanimous. University Medical Center has 2 new board members this morning.
And new today, Governor Susana Martinez has put forth legislation she hopes will help in the nursing shortage in New Mexico. Also,
but for the older brother, this younger brother would not have been pulled into this enterprise and this never would have happened.
And this morning, jurors start deliberating the case of the Boston Marathon bombings.
Live, where news comes first. From the Mesilla Valley and Las Cruces to El Paso and the borderland. This is ABC7's Good Morning El Paso.
a very good morning to you, El Paso, Las Cruces, and Juarez. I'm Stephanie Valle.
And I'm Denise Olivas in for Hillary Florin. The time now is 6 o'clock on the dot. And let's get straight to your first forecast because we are going to see those gusts again today. And that is why we remain under a first alert. Good morning, Crystal.
Good morning, guys. That's exactly right. We are leaving our first alert in effect through tomorrow because we're still tracking high winds in the forecast. That windy weather, it's accompanied for your first alert with the potential for some patchy blowing dust. And we are talking good news. Thursday morning, still some windiness with a cool front moving through our area. But by Thursday afternoon, some lighter winds finally starting to move into the forecast, which will make for a more pleasant afternoon Thursday, especially for the opening game for the Chihuahuas on Thursday evening. As for your conditions outside, 59, that is our temperature this morning in El Paso. Winds are reporting at 6 miles per hour, so winds not too terribly rough quite yet outside. In Las Cruces, we're at 46 and reporting calm out there. Some of us looking low and breezy, and that will be all we deal with through this morning. It's in the afternoon. We are expecting those wind gusts to start to crank on up, but how high will they go today? Models have trended back a bit. We'll explain in just a few minutes.
All right, Crystal, thank you. There are now 2 new members of the University Medical Center board today. They're Joy Martinez and Miguel Fernandez. The vote was unanimous. County Judge Veronica Escobar laid out the serious tasks ahead for the new members, including getting the technical parts of the deal with the El Paso Children's Hospital done, continuing the work on UMC's clinics, and most importantly, working to keep communication flowing and the relationship with the commissioners working. New this morning, New Mexico Governor Susana Martinez has signed a bill she hopes will address the state's shortage of nurses. The bill passed both chambers of New Mexico's legislature with unanimous votes. Our New Mexico mobile newsroom was there as the governor signed it on the NMSU campus. So this means that the law expands the pool of people eligible to receive financial aid from the state's Nurse Educators Fund. It's aimed at those who pursue advanced nursing degrees in order to teach the next generation of nurses.
When you have 32 counties out of 33 that are short, that means we've got to really bolster this up and build it up. And by getting more educators who will teach, go back to school, get their education degree, who can now teach younger nurses, then we can really multiply the number of nurses that are getting out into the field.
State lawmakers have called for spending $850,000 in general funds on the program next year.
Also new this morning, starting next year, you won't be able to drive more than 55 miles per hour on New Mexico County roads where there's no speed limit posted. Governor Martinez signed legislation yesterday that makes 55 miles per hour the default speed limit on county roads. Republican Senator Pat Woods of Broadview says that the current 75 mile per hour speed limit, legal limit, doesn't make sense for many local narrow dirt roads. He says these roads aren't designed or built for the higher speeds allowed on the state's highways and interstates. The new default speed limit will take effect January 1st, 2016. And over at New Mexico State University, students probably won't be looking forward to their next tuition bill. The Board of Regents approved a 2.4% tuition hike at yesterday's meeting. NMSU is dealing with declining enrollment and must cut more than $9 million. The increase in tuition and fees will be up to $72 per semester for full-time undergrad students, and that means students will pay an additional $144 next year, making tuition a little more than $6,000. The board also approved a tuition hike at community college campuses, including a 1.5% increase at Doña Ana branches. The money will be used for student scholarships, first-year student advisors, and student success programs.
Two Army veterans are going coast to coast to help raise money for the Wounded Warrior Project. The two are making their way through New Mexico this week as part of the cross-country run. The two started the run on February 8th in California. They plan to cross the finish line in Georgia by the end of June. The men are also using it as an opportunity to make the transition from military to civilian life. Well, this next story proves how technology can help you breathe a little easier. These three people accused of burglarizing a house. The home's owner was in Hawaii, but police say he happened to check his security system on his smartphone and watched Jonathan Hall, Cassidy Abster, and Benjamin Barilla allegedly ransack his home. Police say they got out of the home before the cops showed up, and they allegedly made off with money, jewelry, and guns. But listen to this. The homeowner says he recognized Barilla as the son of his housekeeper. That led police to the apartment the other two share. Our New Mexico Mobile Newsroom was there for the bust.
A psychotherapist in New Mexico is accused of having a sexual relationship with an underage patient. This all happened at a juvenile correctional facility. The district attorney's office in Lincoln County indicted 36-year-old Julie Barham. The young man is from Carrizozo, New Mexico. She was indicted on 7 counts of criminal sexual penetration. In February, the minor alerted staff at the Lincoln Pines Youth Center about the sexual relationship between him and Barham. He said the Barham would give him prescription medication prior to having sex. A search warrant of her home allegedly revealed she had a prescription for those drugs. And still no arrest after the stabbing we told you about yesterday, but some new details are coming out. It happened around midnight yesterday on the 4000 block of Lackland. That's in north central El Paso. Police say 2 men got into a fight, and during the fight, a 23-year-old man was stabbed in the stomach, and the suspect took off. Police say the victim's friends took him to a convenience store off Alabama, and that's when he was taken to a local hospital. The victim has yet to be identified and remains in critical condition. If you have any information, you are asked to call El Paso Police.
Well, for the next 2 weeks, Boston is living in the shadow of terror. With only 2 weeks until this year's Boston Marathon, this morning jurors are deliberating the case of the 2013 Boston Marathon bombings.
They're deciding the fate of Dzhokhar Tsarnaev. ABC's Susan Solney has the details of this story developing now.
This morning, nearly 2 years after the Boston Marathon bombings, jurors in the trial of suspect Dzhokhar Tsarnaev begin deliberations to decide whether he is guilty in the attack that killed 3 and injured hundreds. These are the moments prosecutors wanted the jury to remember in closing arguments, the gory chaos in the moments after the bombs explode, what they call Tsarnaev's plan to punish America, coordinating with his older brother Tamerlan over a cell phone, never walking away from the plan even after seeing a family nearby. Prosecutors said these children weren't innocent to him, they were American. The jury also saw this picture, Dzhokhar Tsarnaev in front of a jihadi flag, prosecutors playing his so-called jihadi music. Dzhokhar, they said, was a full partner in the plot, pointing to his casual behavior, buying milk moments after the attack, and to the words carved inside the boat where he hid. Stop killing our innocent people, and we will stop. But the defense team, led by attorney Judy Clark, who successfully fought to keep past clients, including Unabomber Ted Kaczynski, off death row, is hoping to spare Tsarnaev's life. She told the jury he was merely his brother's flunky, a teenage follower, not a terrorist, but adding, "There is no excuse. No one is trying to make one. Planting bombs at the Boston Marathon was a senseless act."
She made this point, but for the older brother. This younger brother would not have been pulled into this enterprise, and this never would have happened.
If Tsarnaev is found guilty, the trial will then move into the sentencing phase, which could last several weeks. Susan Solney, ABC News, Washington.
And at 6:09, taking a look at traffic again, taking you downtown at I-10 near Brown. You can see that traffic is starting to pick up just slightly. It's hard to tell just what color the sky is at this moment because it's black and white.
Exactly, but we know, the sun should start coming out shortly if it hasn't already.
Exactly. All right.
As you know, if you're headed out this morning to work, then things look pretty good near downtown. The time now is 6:09, and it pays to be an employee at Starbucks.
What the franchise is doing to help their employees' education coming up.
Also, the California drought is raising concerns at a local marina. People are literally having to move their homes. We'll explain.
And Crystal Klein has your forecast. Crystal.
That forecast includes a first alert for winds. How much longer do we expect it to remain in place? We'll have that answer after your break.
Thanks, Crystal. It is 6:10 and this is ABC 7, where news comes first.